Hi there. This is the WorkKeysPracticeTest.com Applied Math Level 7. And this is supposed to be the hardest one, but it's not really that hard. Nothing that you haven't been doing before, probably. So let's look at this first question. Tina completed 3/8 of the project in 2.5 weeks. Doesn't really matter what project, that's not the point of the question. If she continues doing this at the same rate, how many more days will it take for her to complete the project? Round your answer to the nearest whole number. So always what you need to do is write down what you know. All right, what do we know? Well, only what we know is that it takes 3/8, or sorry, she completed 3/8 of the project in 2.5 weeks. Well, we know the answer has to be in days, so we're gonna have to convert this to days. So 2.5 weeks, we can just make that 2.5. And when you're doing a unit conversion, so 2.5 weeks. When you're doing a unit conversion, you always multiply what you have by a fraction. And on the top of the fraction, you put on there what thing you want. What do we want? We want days. We don't want weeks anymore. And then I'll just put W on the bottom. You put on the bottom what thing you don't want anymore. We don't want weeks, we want days. So then you put a number beside these units that says how much, like their relation to each other. So here's what I mean. How many days are in a week? 7. So you put a 7 by days and you put a 1 by weeks, because 7 days equals 1 week. So then, as it turns out, 7 over 1 is just 7, so you multiply 2.5 times 7 to get how many days are in 2.5 weeks. And that happens to be 17.5. So now we know she completed 3/8 of the project in 17.5 days. All right, good. But we're trying to think about how many more days will it take her for the whole project. So we're gonna have to do a proportion. And when you have a proportion, you have two fractions set equal to each other. So on the numerators, you have one thing, and on the denominators, you have one thing. So let's put on the top part of the project finished. And so 3/8, let's make that a decimal. If you put that in a calculator, you would find out that it's 0.375. So, and that she can complete that amount of the project in 17.5 days. So we'll put that on the bottom. Now the whole project, that would be 1, and we don't know how many days it took her, so we put an X there. Now we cross multiply. 0.375x. So when you cross multiply, you do it like this. Sorry, OneNote is lagging. You multiply those things. Then on the other side of the equation, you multiply those things. So 0.375x, and then 17.5 times 1 is just 17.5. And then how do we get x by itself? We divide 17.5 by 0.375. So put that in the calculator. 17.5 divided by 0.375. The answer is, rounding to the nearest whole number, 47. And the unit is days. But if you see that's not an answer choice, why? Is because it didn't ask how many days did it take her. It said how many more days will it take her from when she started, or when it tells you about it. So remember, we said 17.5 days, 47 days. Okay, so we have to subtract those. 47 minus 17.5. And that gives us 29.5, which is, well, 29.5 does round to 30, but we're going to choose 29 because 30 is not a choice. And the reason why it ended up like that is because we rounded already, so it adjusted the rounding a little bit. Like we already rounded 46.6, so we could just have done 46.6666 divided by, or minus 17.5, and that does get us 29.1, which rounds to 29. So if you happen to not see the thing that rounds to nearest number, just choose whatever you see, which is 29. And there we go, we got it right. So really, it's not that complicated. For these, you just have to make sure you do the right units and read carefully. All right. Now we have a problem that says, hang on, let me do this so I can write over here. Now we have a problem that says we're trying to find the volume of a cylinder in inches. So see, they italicize that for a reason. I'm not sure if it's actually like that on the WorkKeys test, but at least it is on this. So we need it to be in cubic inches. So the unit needs to be in 3 inches cubed. And it tells you that 16.39 inches cubed, or sorry, centimeters cubed equals 1 inch cubed. And that is our conversion factor. Remember, in the last problem, we converted from days to weeks. Remember, that's when we do the fractions. But we'll do that in a minute. All right. And it tells you that the volume of a cylinder, this is a formula, equals 3.14 times the radius squared times the height of it. And all you simply have to do is plug in the values that you see. And then later on, we're going to have to convert to inches because look on the diagram, it's centimeters. And they're trying to trick you because they want you to pick the centimeters one. All right. What's the radius? Now, don't say 7. Remember what the radius is. It's the thing that starts at the middle and goes all the way to the out. At the middle, that's halfway through. So what is half of 7? 3.5. So the radius is 3.5. This 7 is diameter, and if you know, diameter is always 2 times the radius. So you divide the diameter by 2 to get the radius. So 3.5, that is the radius squared. All right, and then height, oh, luckily that one, it's just 11.5. You don't have to do anything. All right, now let's plug that in the calculator. 3.14 times 3.5 squared, make sure only that is squared. See, you put in the parentheses. You can't see, sorry. But you have to put in the parentheses like I did right here. And then times 11.5. And we get to the volume is 446.6 centimeters cubed. Now, this is not our answer because remember it has to be in inches cubed and we need to convert this. So let's do 446.6. Sorry, this thing it's kind of hard to write. I'm writing with my mouse. Sorry, centimeters cubed. And always you have to do a conversion factor when you're converting between units. All right, and remember on the top is what you want. We want inches cubed. On the bottom is what you don't want. We don't want centimeters cubed anymore. And then you put numbers beside them that are on the conversion factor, all right? 16.39, we put that with the inches cubed. And then we put the 1 with the inches, or sorry, great, I did that backwards, sorry. 1 for the inches cubed and 16.39 for the centimeters cubed. So that ends up meaning that we really just divide by 16.39, but you also could just type this in 446.6 times 1 divided by 16.39, but that really just means you divide by it. So 446.6 divided by 16.39, and the answer is 27.1 well, about 27, all right? So we see 27, we choose that, we get it right. All right. All right, now, new problem. All right, Grassloppers has 5 employees that cut grass. The fastest employee can mow 1 acre in 30 minutes. And then there's 3 average employees that mow 1 acre in 45 minutes. And the slowest employee mows 1 acre in 60 minutes. How many acres can they mow in 5 hours? So this might seem a little bit overwhelming because there's a lot of information and it's trying to ask you something that you can't clearly see, but you can get to it. And let's see what we do. All right. So, oh, wait. Oh, never mind. Sorry. Okay. So let's just write down what we know. There is a fastest employee. Let's just say F, and they can mow 1 acre in 30 minutes. But the answer has a unit of hours. So just like the other 2 problems, we need to have a unit of hours. So what is our conversion factor for that? Well, 1 hour equals 60 minutes. All right, there's 60 minutes in 1 hour. If they can mow 1 acre in 30 minutes, what is 30 times 2? 60. So that means they can mow 2 acres in 60 minutes. That's just a proportion, and I hope that makes sense to you. But if you multiply the time by 2, then the amount of acres can multiply by 2 as well. So they can mow 2 acres in 1 hour or 60 minutes. So they can do 2 acres per hour. That's not a real unit, but I'll just put that there. Acres per hour. And how did we know? If they can do 1 in 30 minutes, then they can do 2 in 60 minutes. And 60 minutes is 1 hour, so they can do 2 in 1 hour. 2 per hour. All right, now we have the average employees, and their thing is times 3. So let's already put 3 here because we know we're going to have to multiply it by 3, whatever the thing is, because there's 3 of them. They can mow 1 acre in 45 minutes. Now this one's a little bit tricky. So we're gonna have to do proportion, all right? So they can do 1 acre in 45 minutes. But we want to know how many acres can they do in 60 minutes. So we get 60 equals 45x, doing cross multiplying like I already showed you in the first thing. And so we find out that x is, all right, 60 divided by 45, all right, 1.33. But this isn't how much minutes. I mean, this is how many acres they can do in 60 minutes. We need to know how much they can do in 1 hour. Oh, wait. Oh, so yeah, that means they can do. Oh, well, that's still what it is. Never mind. So even this, you don't have to convert anything because this says that they can mow 1.33 acres in 60 minutes, and which is still 1 hour. So you can just put that. All right. So 1.33, but you got to multiply that by 3 because there's 3 of them. And so that means they can mow 4 acres per hour because that's what 3 times 1.33 is. All right, now we have the slow employee. They can do one acre in 60 minutes. So that means 1 acre per hour. So 1 acre per hour. Now we have to add all of these to find out what all of them can do in 1 hour. So 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So the answer is 7. All right. Now keep in mind that you have 55 minutes to do these questions, and there will not be just 5. I'm pretty sure there's 35. So make sure your timing, there may actually maybe 38. I can't really remember. There's not a lot of information out there about it, but just make sure you're timing quickly. I'm just taking a long time because I'm explaining. All right, this one I think is the hardest one when I was looking at these, but it's still doable if you've taken algebra, which hopefully you have by the time you take this test. All right, there's a online database company that has two plans. Plan A is $9 per month, all right? So they have $9 per month. So we can say 9M, so multiplied by every month, plus 0.66, or sorry, $0.006 per transaction. So we'll just say T. All right, that's plan A. Now we have plan B, which is $39 per month plus 0.002 per transaction. And it says assume that you have 12,000 transactions. So T equals 12,000. And per month. So if it's just per month and it's just for 1 month, there's 12,000. So M is 1. And it's saying, using this equation, basically, what would be the lowest cost situation? So let's do two different equations. We'll do A and we'll do B. All right. And I really wish I could write this thing quicker. Here, I'll just pause it so I can write down what it is. Okay, so I just decided that it's better to show you. So for plan A, it says total cost per month. So for the total cost, we're going to need to do what equation we wrote out. So 9M plus 0.006T. So 9M, we said M was 1. Sorry, I accidentally did 12,000. M is 1. And then you have to add that to 0.006T. And T is what is 12,000. All right. And you have to divide that by the total transactions, which is still 12,000. All right, and now let's go over here. So here, the equation is 39M. So M is 1. And then plus 0.002T. 002T. T is 12,000. Oops. Sorry, this thing sometimes messes up. All right. And then total transactions is 12,000. All right, and then now we are going to type both of these into the calculator and figure out which one is lower. And that will be our answer. So if you have a TI-84, you can push. Do I still have the app on here? I did have a TI-84 app on here. TI-84. I don't think it would show up though. I've already tried that before, but you can push alpha y equals and then enter to do a fraction, but you can't really see, I don't think, so it blurs it out. But you do 9 times 1, or I'm just gonna type in what we see. So, and remember to do the parentheses. So the first one turns out to be 0.00675. Right, and then the second one, right, same thing, type it in the calculator with parentheses where you need them. All right, and this time we get 0.00525. Which one of those is less? that one. That's the answer. Right? There we go. So that one to me seemed the hardest. You just had to make these expressions and know what T and M equaled by what they told you, and then figure out which one's cheaper. All right. Now, last one. The illustration shows the dimensions of an existing cone, but now there's a new cone that needs to be designed, and it's got to have twice the volume. The radius needs to be increased, but the height will remain the same. What is the new radius? So basically, there's going to be a new cone that's not the one that they show in the picture, and it's going to have twice the volume. And it's going to have the same height, but we're trying to figure out what the radius is. And what we got to do is use our algebra skills and solve for r when we plug in other things to the equation. But the first thing we need to do is find the volume of the cone that's existing so that we can multiply it by 2 to figure out the volume of the new cone. And then we'll be able to find the radius. So the steps, we're going to have to find volume of, I'll just say volume OG of original cone. And then when we'll be able to do times 2 to find the new volume, and I'll just say V new. And then once we do that, we'll be able to find the radius, the new radius, okay? These are the steps that we'll do. All right. And how do you figure out these steps in the first place? Well, you just have to kind of think backwards of what I just said. So if you're trying to find the radius, a radius of something, you got to know the height. Well, we already know the new height's going to be 12. It said that, but we don't know the volume. So we'll have to find that. And how do we find that? We'll have to multiply the volume by 2 of the original. So therefore, we would need to know the original. So that's how you know to do these steps. It's simpler than it might seem. Okay, so the original volume. All right, we'll do 3.14 times the radius squared. The radius is 5.7 squared. All right, and let's put this into parentheses because the squared only needs to go on that. And then times the height, which is 12. And that's got to be divided by 3. And when you find that volume, it is 408.1 when you type it into the calculator. And I know there's units, but for time's sake, I'm not going to write them down right now. All right. So we got to multiply that by 2 to get the new volume. 408 times 2. So times 2 gets you 816.2. 816.2. All right, now we're going to use this equation that we know to find, that we use to find the volume, and we're going to use it to find the radius. All right, so this is what the equation is. Now we just plug in what things we know. Volume is 816.2, the volume of the new cone. And then hang on. All right, so 3.14, and we're trying to find the radius, so we just leave it as that. And then the height, it said it was going to be the same, so 12. And then 3 is what it's divided by. All right, how do we find r? Well, we can make this 816.2 divided by 1. And why we're doing that is so that we can cross multiply. We multiply these things, we multiply these things. All right, 816.2 times 3. 816.2 times 3 is 2448.6. All right. And then 3.4 times r squared times 12 times 1 is just the same thing as it already is because it's multiplied by 1. So now we just have to know how to get r by itself. Well, we're going to have to get rid of the things that are beside it. So we will divide by, well, first of all, we can just multiply these two things. 3.14 times 12. 3.14 times 12 is 37.68. All right, and now we're going to have to divide that on both sides to get r squared by itself. So 2,448.6 divided by 37.68 is 64.984. Now, let's see, is that an answer choice? That's not an answer choice. So they were a little bit nice on this. They might try to trick you and make you think that's the answer, but it's not, because r squared equals that. So we got to take the square root of it. So what square root of 64.984 is 8.06, which rounds to 8.1 centimeters this unit. And that's the answer. So there you go. This is the hardest math things. So if you can figure out how to do these, you should be fine on everything else. So good luck on your work keys test, and thanks for watching.